So you thought the hardest part was deciding that you were ready for change, only to find out that even after that, it's easy to get stuck. And although we may desire change and we're ready right now, it feels like we can't move forward. So I totally understand where you're coming from. My name is Sylvia Mordini, the founder of Life Inspired. Welcome to the Inspire series. Just because we're ready for change and we've done all the work to prepare us for the change, it doesn't mean that we still won't get stuck. And we will meet roadblocks, traffic jams along this pathway to making the changes that we most desire for our personal transformation. And here's an easy and effective way to create some momentum, to get unstuck. And I'm inspired by Dr. Joe Dispenza, who, and I'll paraphrase, says that change is simply deciding to make a different choice. So every day we make hundreds of little decisions along with the big decisions. But 80% of what we do today is the same as yesterday. We are very habitual by our very nature, unless we're purposely doing things to make something different. So if 80% is the same, that means that here we are wanting the changes for our lives that will lead to happier life, to more peaceful life, to more inspired life, but everything we're doing is the same. And actually the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same things over and over again, expecting a different result. And that's where we find ourselves. And then that is what feels like stuckness. Like there's no movement, no change happening. Because in order to change, we have to change something. So it's not changing 100%. It's the 5% changes that lead to a very big difference. That 5% change makes 110% difference in our lives. So tomorrow, think about what's one thing that you can do different than you did today and yesterday and the day before. And even think about it in relationship to the bigger changes that you want to make. So for instance, if you're struggling with your energy level and you're waking up and you're tired, well, then a small change that you could make, and you could decide it right now and implement it right now, is instead of staying up late watching Netflix or just watching social media on your iPhone, instead of doing that, say, okay, I'm going to go to bed at this time and will be in bed at this time. And then hold yourself to it, not just for one day, but try to hold yourself to it for a pattern of 7 days in a row, and then see how you feel. Notice if that's impacted your energy level. By going to bed earlier and going to bed consistently at the same time each night, did that create an impact and a change in the way that you feel day by day by day in that week-long experiment? And at the end of the week, then decide to re-up and keep that positive change. Or maybe you need to make it even earlier because you're seeing, wow, this has a really great impact. My energy level is more consistent. I'm able to wake up more inspired, more enthusiastic because I went to bed at this time. And now you know. So another example of just a single change that you can make. And let me just say that at the beginning of the week on Sunday nights, I will write and journal these things out. What am I going to change this week? What are my commitments to change? And they always relate to a larger desire and intention, of course. But these little things that are easily within our power, we don't have to move mountains, are able to really create a momentum. So another example is, let's say you're having trouble sleeping, or you're feeling really distracted, unable to maintain a through line in your thoughts, and you notice that the insomnia or the trouble sleeping and the feeling of distraction, being distracted, like it just bleeds into that nighttime feeling, into the bedtime feeling, and it's just hard to put your mind at ease in order to be able to sleep, because insomnia is not just not being able to get to sleep, it's also waking up and not being able to get back to sleep. Either way, when our minds are super wired and busy, and we're feeling that high level of distraction, anxiety, then there are things that we can do, and we can look at our behaviors and just change one thing. So an example from my own life is, I find if I allow myself to use my smartphone in bed, I will just start scrolling aimlessly through social media in bed. So I'm in bed, but I'm feeding that distraction and that adrenaline hit, and that constant tweaking of like needing more and more and more, hence the scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And it's not 5 minutes, it's not even 10 minutes, it's 20 minutes, it's 30 minutes. And my mind, because I keep getting hits of the adrenaline and that more and more and more feeling, I'm now waking myself way up, let alone the statistics that show that the light and the filter of the light, that wakes us up, looking at the iPhone. All of that, absolutely factual. But something we can do is say, I will not use my iPhone or smartphone in bed for social media ever. That's what I did. And it made an enormous difference. I refuse to lay there and look through social media on my phone in bed. That one small change made a huge difference in letting my mind feel more relaxed, more rested, and I didn't start to associate bed with this mindless scrolling. I associated bed with sleep, rest, relaxation, and getting off of media and technology. And that alone impacted not only my ability to get to sleep more easily, but when I woke up, that was another time where when I was waking up and immediately would click off the alarm that was going off on my phone and then start to look through social media, I could feel that like worry, anxiety, and social comparison that comes from looking at what everybody else is doing before I've even gotten out of bed to start my day, and just being unduly influenced by everyone and everything else, rather than let me just stay contained and think about what's important to me. So that change of not allowing myself to use my phone in bed for social media let me wake up with calm, peace, gently, and not feeling like I was being shot out of a cannon, as if like I'd already failed the day, I wasn't good enough, I was never going to be able to achieve as much as everybody else because look at all the posts. And now I don't have that. And it made an enormous difference all day long. So that small change, and maybe you say, no smartphone at all in bed. Wouldn't that be amazing, right? But it's the small things. Perhaps if you're feeling fatigued in the afternoons, a small change could be that you will drink X number of ounces or 3 glasses of water in the afternoon, whatever it may be, and that you'll stay consistent and keep yourself tasked to do that. Or that every morning you'll start with a glass of water. All right, that's easy enough. Anyone can do that. But by doing that, then that has an impact on so many other things. It creates this momentum and this ripple effect in just changing something. So rather than being stuck in our habits, if you just look at the simple things, not 50 things, but a couple things, and just pick something this week. Pick one thing this week that you can do and feel the difference that it makes. I know what it's like to feel like you're stuck and you can't change, and it's like trying to reach for a low-hanging fruit and yet still not being able to reach it. It really is right there. We just have to get out of our own way and not be the obstacle to our continued change and transformation and growth. But also hold yourself gently, that thinking that finally getting to the point that we're ready for change is the solution. It's just the beginning. And as soon as you put that aside and realize, coming to terms with that's the beginning, that's the first step, but it's not the last step, makes your expectations a whole lot more gentle and easeful on yourself. And from one step, we take the next step, and the next step, and the next step. But change allows us to get a different perspective. And just that then gives us a viewpoint and motivation and insight to take the next step. But we can't even see that until we just take those little steps. So 5% change. Change a single habit that you have, and then watch the positive impact that has on the whole of your life. It's so powerful to know that you have that within your control. It's up to you. It's literally in your hands. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to spend money on expensive programs or what have you. Literally, to get unstuck and to begin the momentum for change. You just have to change one little thing in your life and maintain that commitment and stay with it for a week and then continue on from there. But I'm rooting for you, and I know it's possible because I have been able to implement these small changes in my life that have led to bigger changes and led to the greater insights of the viewpoints that those changes bring about, that then help me to edit and make better decisions from a different vantage point, a couple steps further ahead. You know, change it's little by little, and sometimes it feels like it's invisible, but it really is happening. Not all change is constantly visible to the naked eye. There's things that are changing energetically and internally within us that millimeter by millimeter then will add up. And you know if you're experiencing that little bit of a shift that's allowing you to know that it's possible to make bigger shifts. So I hope this has been helpful. And if it has, please subscribe to my channel. I'm so delighted that you're here. It's always an honor and a pleasure to have this time together. And for now, from my heart to your heart, to the heart of the universe, may you love yourself, love your day, and love your life.